Let's look at the history of healing. Now, this is not just the history of medicine. This is more the history of healing. You know, at first, what did they really began focusing on anatomy, didn't they first? You know, let's be real, even in ancient times, there are old doctors' tools where they showed, like from the Incans, the Mayans, the Egyptians, where they've actually, you know, dissected the body to see how the organs work, right? They could perceive at a macroscopic level. At one point then, what did we get? We got x-rays, didn't we? We began then to be able to look inside, and medicine changed, didn't it? You didn't have to cut someone open to see what's going on. You could then see and you could determine what's going on. A little bit later, we had more microscopy. You know, the entire idea of germs and what caused them radically changed the world. Simply put, people came back from the hospital. It's kind of a nice thing, isn't it? And then today we have functional MRIs and real-time MRI scanning. We can scan what our brain is doing in real time. That's actually a knee. Okay? And more so that we only don't see just the bones, we now see the soft tissues. Which, think about all these other types of diagnoses we can make and how many more people we can treat. The important part is our perception and our ability to perceive has defined medicine, has defined healing, right? Because what we can see, we can affect. Otherwise, it was voodoo or witchcraft. Think about it. Do you know in the Middle Ages, they used to think if you put meat out, the flies simultaneously came from the meat? That was a whole big point because, you know, they didn't realize that the flies laid eggs. There was no connection there. Okay? There's so many experiments like that that we're moving out through the day. So our perception today has greatly affected how we view medicine and healing. The other interesting thing about, particularly today, is if we look at our modern medicine, and if you talk to the people at Univera, if you talk over here with the essential oils, you'll see the wraps, everything. Actually, all of our vendors here have said the same thing, that modern science is proving what we've known from ancient times. Our esoteric knowledge, our colloquial knowledge, is now being proven again and again and again. We are looking at the rainforests for natural ways of healing, aren't we? And you think about it here, most modern medicine, by the way, all modern chemistry is done from petroleum. So when you take a drug, very frankly, you're eating some derivative of gas. Just think about that for a minute. It is. It used to be coal, actually. In the 70s, it was benzene chemistry. Now it's alkane chemistry, which is oil. So just something to think about. With that, would you rather have plants? Would you rather have oil? Now, another thing, too, this goes beyond medicine here. The Vedic scrolls, which were ancient Hindu texts, okay, they were dated back over 5,000 years ago. They defined the formation, the evolution of the universe, okay? And in it, they describe these weird time periods and stuff like that you look at. If you look at them, they've recently taken those studies. They figured out what the time periods were, backtracked it back towards the very beginning. It matches, within a very small margin of error, the Big Bang Theory. So somehow the ancients were connected enough and intuitive enough to be able to see what we are now just beginning to prove with modern science. The big thing is we're built for healing, okay? How many of you have ever had a boo-boo? Raise your hand. Cut, scrap. Ever used a Band-Aid? Is it still there now? No. Is your skin healed? You go through if someone goes through open heart surgery, even if we move things, change things around, it all heals, doesn't it? Our bodies naturally heal. Modern healing that I'm going to be talking about tonight, which is also called pranic healing, and I'm going to introduce that, is really about merely taking your natural body, your natural healing systems, and allowing them to move faster. When you take any of your drugs, your aspirins, or, actually aspirin's not a great one, but, any of your drugs, what do? They either suppress something that's going on in the body, right? Or if you're lucky, they accelerate it. But most of them usually are systematic and just get rid of the symptom, don't they? And what does that mean? It allows you to heal yourself. Now here's the interesting part. Now we're going to get kind of the fun stuff in here. So here's the thing. What have we seen so far? First of all, we're looking at history repeats itself, right? Our perception defines medicine. But you know what? Our perception defines reality. We shape our world through our interaction with it. Okay, this is actually called the two-slit experiment, okay? This is a quantum mechanics thing. We'll talk about physics for a little bit, but I'll keep it nice and high level. I promise no equations. Okay, so imagine right here that I had imagine I had a gun here, okay, and I'm going to shoot to that wall, and I had two slits here, right? If I shoot either one or the other, I'm going to end up with two straight lines, right, of bullets, right? Does that make sense? Now, if I take an electron, or if I take a photon, actually you can take a proton, any of your small particles, right, of which we're all made up, and you start shooting them back and forth, even if you go ahead and shoot them one at a time, okay? So you shoot one, wait a minute, shoot another, wait a minute, shoot another, go as slow as you want. What you're going to end up with is a diffraction pattern, which looks exactly like a wave. Okay? So, so for instance, if you take water and I put water through a slit, you know how it makes those waves coming out? If you have two slits, it's going to create a pattern. So now here's the interesting thing, is that even though I'm shooting one at a time, I mean, if I shot beams, that would make sense, right? We have these waves. Sorry, my son's waving by. All right. Even if I shoot one particle at a time and wait, somehow they are creating the same interference pattern as if they're waves. So one electron at a time is acting like a particle because I can shoot one and a wave at the same time. Does that make sense? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but that's the way it works. So we have this interesting duality. Now here's the really interesting thing about it. You let this go. You put a detector right here. If I put a detector to determine as it comes through the slit, when it comes out, it looks exactly as if it were bullets. In fact, when you turn the detector off, it goes to waves. When you turn it on, it becomes like bullets. The act of observing the electron coming through changes the behavior of it. This is one of the fundamental laws of quantum mechanics and quantum physics, okay? So let me explain that again real quick, is that by looking at it, I can move from this to this by putting a little detector there and go, yep, it goes here, 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 here. It collapses back and forth and back and forth. We are simultaneously, at any given point, having this dualistic nature of particles and waves. To be real, each and every one of you has a wavelength. We are all vibrating right now. Okay, we are all made out of energy because we're all made of electrons, protons, all these other parts, okay? We are made of it. Einstein said E equals mc squared. You relate energy to mass. That says it right now. If we have mass, we're made out of energy, okay? And so remember that here, that we're, frankly, from a quantum mechanical, chemical level, and the physicists will tell you, we're made out of energy, first of all. Second of all, our observations can affect energy and affect the world. That becomes really important, because here's what it means. We are no longer passive observers in this reality. We actively shape everything around us, okay? By the mere perception of something, we are changing reality and altering it from what we perceive. And this is shown at a quantum basic level, and it goes all the way up. Because quantum mechanics actually says that everything breaks down, or I should say, collapses into the macroscopic world we see. But now I have a question. How much do we see? How much of the universe do we physically are capable of perceiving? Does anyone know? And give me a percentage. Anybody? Want to yell one out?
Less than 1.
Half a percent?
Less than 1.
Less than 1%? How much? 5? Oh, wow. Okay, I was expecting 50, 60, 70. You guys are on the ball here. It's actually, we only perceive 5% of the universe. 5% is what we can actually see, which is physical matter we can touch. Of that, we've got approximately 25% is called dark matter, okay? Which is matter that the only reason we know it's there is because of how it behaves. Now, what does dark matter mean? That if we look at electromagnetic radiation, which is what we can see with our eyes, radio waves, microwaves, galactic rays, what we can see, it's only 5%, we see that in that 5%. We got 25% we know. The other 70% is what's called dark energy, okay? And the reason why it's called dark, it's not black, it's just we don't know, we can't see it. There's no light on the room, it's dark. Make sense? So here's the thing. The universe is 25% more than what we can see. 25% matter we can't see. 70% of the universe here is made up of this energy that we have no idea what it is. But we know it's there because if it wasn't, everything would collapse. Okay? So we are bathed. We are surrounded in a sea of soup that we can't see. Make sense? Now, we're going to take it one step further here. So now we're going to take it out from out here in the universe to us. Our bodies, we respond to energy, don't we? Think about it. We do an MRI. It interacts. If our bodies didn't have energy, have waves, and we didn't have energy in it, we could not interact with each other. Okay? It's just the way it's physics. You can ask the physicists, they can explain it to you in a lot of equations. It's quite fun. Okay, MRI. How many of you have heard of like laser therapies? The cold laser thing to help just about everything, or putting the little electric currents there. There's even sonic therapy, right? So here's the thing. Our bodies respond to energy. And 70% of the universe is energy we can't determine. So I wonder what else our bodies can determine. Or wonder what else our bodies can interact with. Interesting, huh? Let's talk about healing the future. That's actually a tricorder, right? From Star Trek. How many of you have seen that? Whatever. And we're getting to that, aren't we? I want you to think about this. We can diagnose someone with an MRI or an X-ray, never touch them with anything physical, get a good picture of what's going on, and then we can use lasers and other forms of therapies to interact with the body right now without ever touching them, right? So the question is, what is going to be over the next 50, 100 years? What's going to be our main instrument of healing? Well, I'm about to show you, it's going to be your hands. And that's what we're here to show you tonight. Because here's the big thing. We're all alive. One of the rules of physics. Similar energies can interact. You ever take two magnets and put them together? They can move back and forth, right? Now, if you try to use light, like a light beam, and a magnet, yes, if you blast it with a big laser, fine. But in the same realm of resistance here, light, you can just throw it right at the light. It's not going to interfere. But you put that magnet, boom, right? Gravity works the same way. Two gravity things coming together. So the point is, if we're alive, we have energy. So therefore, we can be affecting each other. Miracles are possible. Albert Einstein said, there are only two ways to live your life. One is though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. It's really about choice. Master Choa Kok Sui, who created the founder of pranic healing, and we'll chat a little bit about him in a little bit too, said, miracles are fantastic events which utilize hidden laws of nature. Most people are unaware of these laws. Miracles do not break the laws of nature. They're actually based on them. This might sound a little fantastic, but consider this. If I were to take a laptop computer like this one right here, and if I were to take it back 50 years, would it still work? Assuming I had energy. Assuming I could plug it in, right? It would still work, right? In fact, this could work from the beginning of time. I could take this back to the caveman days. If I could travel in a time machine, it would still work, right? Now, do you imagine what something like a computer like this that we have every day, if we had taken that back to the, I don't know, what if Michelangelo had one? What fantastic things would have happened? What miracles would happen? What if the average person could see a magic picture box? What if we were to talk to people about, I can call someone all the way around the world and see them right now on Skype, and I can do it for free? Do you imagine 20 years ago saying something, or in the 60s when the first computers were the size of city blocks? They would say it's almost miraculous, wouldn't they? They utilize laws of nature, which we don't understand yet, to produce miraculous results. So the point is, when we talk about miracles, when we talk about miracles through healing, everything like this, what I'm saying right now is that they're using laws that we may not understand, that are not commonplace, but who knows, when they are, there we are. What will happen with the universe when all that dark matter, when we figure out how to detect it? If we could create a dark matter viewer, where dark matter became light, what would that mean for us? Think about it. We would have a whole new understanding, because our understanding is depending on how we perceive. But the cool part is, the life force and subtle energy, we're about to find we can actually interact with that. So let's talk about our energy source. We have electromagnetic fields. Our heart is a pump, right? We've got iron moving through our body. It's blood, it's hemoglobin, right? We have a magnetic field from our heart, okay? We also have another electromagnetic field in our brain. Now, you can take the two of them, and the Institute of Heart Math has spent a lot of time showing that when you put these two in alignment, you get really good results. Now, we can measure it, okay? And so think about it here. My electromagnetic field is interacting with you. All of you. Yours are interacting with mine because it spreads out. Now, how many of you have ever seen the movie Frankenstein? Or heard of it, right? Anyway. Now, can we take an electromagnetic field, or can we take a bunch of body parts, put them together, zap it with electricity, and make it come alive? No. So all of our detection here, no matter how much energy we dump into it, the worst thing we get is fried, which is easy. All right, I'm not going to go there anymore. So here's the point. There is some other animating force animating us, isn't it? Because we're alive. We move. We have some sort of template. Something's going on in here. I'm going to postulate to you and offer this as it's some sort of energy that we can't perceive right now with modern medicine, but we might be able to. In fact, experiments are starting to be done on the universal field, the unified field. They're starting to look at things like, how do we get, with quantum coupling, how do things happen faster than they should? Okay, so they're beginning to see it, but yet, what is it? Well, in ancient times, they would call this life force something like prana. Prana is Sanskrit for life force. The Chinese called it qi, or energy, and in Hebrew it's called ruach, which means breath of life. So the ancients had an idea it was there. They couldn't perceive it either, but they knew it was there, and we interact. And we know it's there. Why? Because we're alive. Think about it. If we weren't alive, there's no animating force, we wouldn't be here today.